And good day to everybody. First off, I love this hat. I'll fight you. Secondly, what I'm about to say is not directed to anyone in particular. I'm already dealing with a cease and desist order. This has nothing to do with that. Just say it right now. When that's done, I will comment on those things. It just so happened that these things are slightly related, but have nothing to do with an actual person. I'm talking generalities. So I'd like to talk about entitlement because the things that I'm seeing, the videos that I'm seeing, the people that I'm seeing in real life and on the internet and on TikTok and all these other shits, it's fucking ridiculous. First and foremost, the truth does not have emotion, does not care about emotion, doesn't care about your feelings. The truth is the truth. Facts are facts. So I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt some of you. I really don't fucking care. No one owes you shit. The world doesn't owe you shit. The world is unfair, and sometimes that's just how it fucking happens. Okay? Oh, I didn't ask to be born. Well, you're here, okay? So let's make the fucking most out of it. Instead of being a whiny little bitch. Yeah? This is something that I saw that I couldn't believe. That somebody actually took a secret camera, hidden camera, to an interview. And interviewed this guy for a tech company job. And asked him, how many hours would he like to work? Like, what is his ideal work schedule? And he said he'd like to work 4 hours a week. I also saw somebody else that was quoting certain studies that have said that working a 40-hour work week in an office is ridiculous because about 70% of the time or 80% of the time it's not being used in a productive way. So that 20% of the time is the only productive thing. So why should we have a 5-day work week, a 40-hour work week, if all of that stuff can be done probably between 4 and 6 hours? So let's just go into the office, work really hard for 6 hours in a week. You are so fucking entitled and so fucking, you're not even thinking. So let's just think about this for a second. You work in an office, you're there for a call center, you're there to fix people's problems. How much problems do you think you're going to fix in 4 hours a week? Like, you know how many more people you would have to hire as a business to allow everybody to work for 4 hours a week, plus you're getting a full week's pay for 4 hours? That's fucking ridiculous. People are ridiculous. Just because you want something doesn't mean that you're going to get it. And it's also not realistic. Could you imagine that I work at, let's say, a gas station and I only work 4 hours a week? He'd have to hire 100 employees for a 4-hour week schedule. And then if somebody calls out for that week, somebody has to work 8 hours, and it's like, no, it's not. You can't function in a society working 4 hours a week. You can't even do it if you're a data analyst or an accountant. You think that you're going to come in and do these reports in 4 hours and be like, I'm done, pay me a full week? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm not making this shit up. These are things I've seen. And it is not based in reality at all. It's based in feelings and wants. Again, I want a dick that shoots rainbows, but I'm stuck with the dick I got. The phrase, I'm triggered, we really have to change this up. Triggered is a verb. It's a noun, verb, predicate. That's how a sentence works. If you're triggered to feel something. You're leaving out that second part. What are you feeling? If you're triggered to feel anger, if you're triggered to feel X emotion, express that. Oh, it's too hot today. I'm triggered. Oh, I didn't get my way. I'm triggered. Action causes reaction. So to trigger something is to cause a reaction. Not every reaction is bad. I'm triggered to be motivated. Did you think of that one? We care too much about the feeling of things and not the facts of things. The facts of things is that is a verb, and you need to use more of your words to express yourself. That triggers me to feel such and such, and I would rather not feel that way. Could you blah blah blah? You don't just go, I'm triggered, and then somebody goes, I'm sorry. It's not. And if we don't talk about these things, why can't we're never going to get through? This has to do with a lot of issues that are up right now that are not fact-based opinions. And it's okay to have your opinion, but stop shoving it down other people's throats and saying, I have to think this way. Because guess what? I think differently. Sorry. And from what I can gather, a lot of people think differently than what is being shoved down our throats. So whenever we start thinking differently or ask a question, they're like, oh, this is phobia of some sort. Well, phobia or not, we need to talk about these things to answer the fucking question. I've seen congressional fucking hearings that it's like, I don't want to answer that question. I swear to you, I wish I could remember her name now. I'd like to answer a question that I feel is not as boring as your question. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Answer the fucking question. The entitlement that is running rampant at this point. There's a lot of factors to it, and I'm not even going to go into the factors. Here's the deal. Somebody asks you, why do you feel this way? You don't come and say, you know what? I'd rather not answer that question. Instead, I'll answer a different question. What? Okay, here's another one that's probably going to ruffle some feathers, but it's been scientifically documented. There is no pay gap. It really actually doesn't exist. Oh, men are paid more than women. Okay, men in this situation actually work more than the 40 hours. And if you put in overtime, you get paid time and a half. So you get paid 1.5, 50% more on top of what you normally make. When it comes to engineering, it's like 7% of engineers are women. That's not saying that women can't do it, because the 7% that are engineers can do it. It's just saying that women don't want to do it. So if an engineering job pays $100,000 and a healthcare job pays $70,000, and you don't want to do the engineering job, you can't get mad that you're not getting that extra $30,000 a year. That's it. That's it. The higher risk jobs are the jobs that are going to pay more. The sewer workers and the construction workers and the people who have the risk of cutting off fingers and limbs, those jobs pay more. The safer jobs, the ones with air conditioning and shit like that, they don't pay as much because you're paying for the risk. You're paying for the, holy shit, there might be an accident and the guy might chop his arm off. Okay, here's another one. Socialism doesn't work. It never has. Show me a socialist country that hasn't turned into a dictatorship and hasn't made their citizens dirt fucking poor. Show me one successful socialist nation that hasn't turned into a tyranny or a dictatorship. Please. You want something. Again, you want a utopia. And the concept of a utopia is wonderful. You know what else is a concept is wonderful? That humans aren't greedy. But that's not the reality of things. Human beings are greedy. Human beings are shifty. If you can get ahead, you're going to get ahead. I had a psychologist once ask me, do you trust people? I said, no. And he said, well, why is that? And I said, because if you and I are being chased by a tiger, how can I trust that you won't trip me to get away. He goes, okay, well, do you trust yourself? I said, no. And he said, why? I said, were you not listening? If we're being chased by a tiger, how can I trust me not to trip you to save myself? I can't trust myself not to trip someone else and put them in a situation where they're 100% going to die to save myself. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That means I'm a realistic person. That means when that time comes, I can't guarantee that I'll save you. And that is the nature of human. It doesn't make you a bad person, but that is the human nature. So to have this idea that people are going to completely stop the psychology that they've had for 100,000 years for a utopia is ridiculous. You're not basing yourself on reality. You're basing yourself on a concept, on a dream, on a hope. Okay, here's another one, guys, and it just is. Equality of opportunity does not lead to equality of outcome. I have mentioned this before. I can practice billiards 5 hours a day for 20 years. That doesn't make me a pro. That doesn't mean that I can go up against somebody else who has the same opportunity to practice, who just happens to be naturally better than me. There are people who practice less that are naturally better than me. If I practice basketball for 15 hours a day for the next 10 years, am I going to be better than Jordan because I put in more? No, I've given myself the opportunity to get better, but that doesn't mean that I am now equal to those professionals because they have a natural talent. Let's give people the equality of opportunity so that they have the opportunity to go and practice and get good and try to get a certain job. But that doesn't mean that they're going to get it. And if you don't get that job, if you don't get that good at basketball or pool or whatever, you can't get mad and say this is not fair, because life is not fair. If you really think about it, you're the one sperm cell that made it. All those millions of other sperm cells also said it's not fair. I watched an interview. Again, I enjoy listening to Jordan Peterson. I don't necessarily agree with everything. Same thing with Ben Shapiro. I enjoy listening to his take on things. I don't agree with, I'd say 40% of what he feels, his actual opinion. But that doesn't mean that he's not wrong on a lot of shit. Like, he's really right. Same thing with Jordan Peterson. He's right on a lot of shit. You don't have to like the person for them to be right. So I was watching an interview where they're asking Jordan Peterson and Dr. Davis about basically entitlement. And what Dr. Davis says is, he goes, I like to ask the room how many people, feel like you have it hard. And a lot of people raise their hand. And then how many people think that you have it harder than your grandparents? And nobody raises their hand traditionally, normally. Maybe one, because he's an idiot. He says, anybody with a phone in their pocket is doing better than their grandparents. Anybody that is not starving is doing better than their grandparents. You say that life is hard and it's unfair, but let's look back. Let's look at the Great Depression. Let's look at the 20s to the 30s. Let's look at the World Wars eras. There was shortages of steel and aluminum and there were shortages everywhere. People were dying. People were starving. Let's look at the 1700s. People were dying because they didn't have proper sanitation and cleanliness in the operating rooms. So an amputation, first off, something happened to you, you're going to cut a limb off. And secondly, you're probably going to die of sepsis because they didn't understand soap. So you're doing well. In society, you have so many privileges in society now. For example, I didn't have the internet. I had to rely on somebody else's knowledge, and that person could have been wrong. So how do snakes mate? Oh, they put their little butt next to, you see the little butt, and they put the little butt and they go like that. Okay, Grandma, I'm going to write that in my report. Now we have the internet, we have the access of information. And what are we doing with that? TikTok dances. Guys, there's an opportunity to learn, to better yourself, to open your mind, to gain knowledge. And we're over here fucking that up because you feel entitled. Like, oh, the world sucks while you're watching fucking videos on your phone. We had to wait until next week at 5:30 to watch Knight Rider. We couldn't binge watch a whole season in a day. Like, you don't have it worse. Stop acting like you do. And this whole, why are things happening to me? What? Okay, let me just... If you see yourself sitting down on fire, and you say, why am I always on fire? It's probably because you walked in some fire, or you surrounded yourself in a situation where there's fire. Okay? If you want peace in your life and you walk into chaos, you're not going to magically get peace. What you really have to do is take out the chaos or move to a different environment. So very simply, if you don't want to catch on fire, don't put yourself in the fire. Or you have to put yourself in an environment where what you want can actually be attained. You can't sit in the same environment and expect a different result. Sounds like insanity? Let's make a list every day of the positives and the negatives. You can even put a number value to it, okay? Let's say you woke up, you're in good health. Let's assume you're in good health because there are people who are not in good health. There are people that didn't wake up. There are people with no legs. There are people who have to piss in a bag. There are people who have to shit in a bag, okay? Are you doing better than them? That's a positive. Did you wake up? Are you able to walk? Are you in good health? Did you eat today? Do you have a job? Were you able to go to work? Were you able to make money? Okay. Now let's look at negatives. Oh, bills. Even though they're a part of life. Okay, that's a negative. Something happened that didn't really go your way. That's a negative. Your car broke down. That's a negative. Your boyfriend broke up with you. Your girlfriend broke up with you. That's a negative. You lost a friend. That's a negative. You found out some shit. That's a negative. Let's weigh out. You could put it on a fucking piece of paper every day. Let's weigh out the positives and the negatives. Every day that you're above zero is a good day. If you had 100 bad things happen and 107 good things happen, and you're +7, that's a good day. Any day above zero is a good day. Are you going to have days where you're at zero? Yeah. Guess what? That was still a good day. Are you going to have days where you're below zero? Yes. Guess what? That's life. And deal with what you have and deal with it the best way you can with the best tools that you can, and stop putting your head down and going, oh, woe is me, because there are so many people that are worse off than you. So take what you have, take the good things that you have, be the best self you can be. And then eventually you're going to see, yes, there's some bad things in this world, but look at all the good that's been happening. You're never going to see that if you go, oh, my pussy hurts. Oh, it's unfair. Oh, we have it so hard. You know who had it hard? My stepfather's grandfather, who was, I think, I'm getting this wrong, he was 86 and still waking up at 3 a.m. to get in his tractor at 86 to go till the field and harvest the farm. And he didn't complain. He loved it. It gave him something to do. Oh, I've been working too hard. Hard work is what makes shit happen. Innovation is what makes shit happen. Motivation is what makes shit happen. You know what doesn't make shit happen? The sense of entitlement. Entitlement doesn't make anything happen. I know this is getting a little longer, so I'm just gonna let it go right now. You can't act like that and be productive. You can't think horrible and negative and expect positive to happen. You can't poison a flower and expect it to grow bigger. It's just reality. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.